All right, everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into something super interesting, the world of sales. We're going to break down this guide called 10 Sales Secrets Every Entrepreneur Must Know. We'll see what really makes people successful in sales.
Definitely a good choice for a deep dive.
Mm,
And, even though it says it's for entrepreneurs, anyone who wants to get better at persuading people or even just understand how sales psychology works will find some really valuable stuff in here.
yeah, for sure. So the guide starts off kind of bold, saying everything is sales. Honestly, I was a little skeptical at first. Like, does everything really come down to sales?
Well, think about it this way. Like anytime you're trying to get someone to see your point of view or agree with you, you're kind of selling, right? It's all about persuading and influencing. And that happens everywhere, not just in business.
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to get it. But then the guide goes on to say that being pushy or using tricky tactics isn't the way to go. It specifically calls out things like the 99-cent rule, like when something's priced at $19.99 instead of just $20.
Right. And that might seem like a small thing, but it actually plays on some deep psychology stuff. Our brains tend to focus on those leftmost digits, so we see $19.99 as way cheaper than $20, even though it's just a penny difference. And even though those tricks might work for a bit, they can really hurt trust in the long run. If a customer feels tricked, they probably won't come back.
Totally. It's like when you see a sale and the price is the same as it always was. It just makes you feel like, come on, be honest with me.
Exactly. That's why the guide really stresses being genuine. Building real relationships and doing more than what's expected is what gets you loyal customers.
That makes sense. But how do you actually do that? How do you go beyond just making the sale and actually build those relationships that last?
Well, the guide talks about this key idea: under-promise and over-deliver. They have as a great phrase, sell the sizzle, not just the steak.
I love that. But what does that actually look like in practice?
Okay, so think of it like this. The steak is the basic product or service you're offering. The sizzle is the extra stuff, the good feelings, the connection you create. So like if you're selling a car, the steak is the car itself, but the sizzle might be the feeling of freedom and adventure that comes with it, or the awesome service you provide, or throwing in some extra perks.
So it's about giving people more than they expect and making them feel like they're getting something special.
Exactly. It's about creating that wow factor that makes them want to come back for more. It's like when you're at a restaurant and they bring you a free dessert. It's a small thing, but it makes the whole experience better.
It's those little things that make you feel like a valued customer.
For sure. And that's where finding your own style of selling comes in. The guide says there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Introverts can be just as good at sales as extroverts. It's all about figuring out what works best for you.
Okay, so how do I figure out my own style? I've always thought of myself as more of a listener than a talker.
Well, that's a great strength. Introverts are usually awesome at building trust because they're good listeners. They ask really good questions and make their clients feel heard. You can use that by focusing on those one-on-one connections, giving people personalized advice, and really understanding what they need.
That's actually really encouraging to hear. So it's not about trying to be someone I'm not. It's about figuring out how my own strengths can help me in sales.
Exactly. The guide even gives examples of different sales personalities and how they can be successful. Like someone who's really analytical and data-driven might be awesome at using research and stats to back up their recommendations. But someone who's more creative and charismatic might connect with people through stories and emotions.
This is making me think about how I interact with people in my own life. I definitely like to connect with people personally and build relationships.
And that's a huge plus in sales. It's about figuring out how your natural personality can translate into a genuine and effective approach.
This is giving me so much to think about. Okay, so we've talked about being genuine and finding your style. But what about the actual process of selling? Are there key steps to keep in mind?
Yeah, the guide gets into that too. And one of the most powerful things it talks about is selling the outcome, not just the product.
Okay, I've heard that before, but what does it actually mean?
It means focusing on the value and the change you're offering, not just the features and specs. It's about really understanding what your client needs and wants and showing them how your product or service can help them reach their goals or solve their problems. For example, if you're selling fitness equipment, don't just talk about what the treadmill can do. Talk about how good they'll feel when they reach their fitness goals, the extra energy they'll have, the confidence they'll gain.
So it's like painting a picture of what they want and showing them how to get there with your help.
Exactly. And this is where storytelling and emotion come in. The guide uses two really good examples: Nike's Just Do It campaign and Peloton.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
With Nike, It's not about selling shoes, right? It's about selling empowerment, reaching your dreams, pushing your limits. Their "just do it" slogan taps into this human need to be our best selves. And their ads don't just show the shoes, they show stories of athletes overcoming challenges, being amazing and inspiring others. They're selling a feeling, an aspiration.
And it works. Every time I see one of their ads, I get this burst of motivation.
Exactly. It's not about the product, it's about the emotional connection they make. And Peloton does something similar. They're not just selling bikes, they're selling a whole lifestyle change. They're selling community, a sense of belonging, and the motivation that comes from being part of something bigger.
It's like you're buying into a whole new world, not just a piece of equipment.
Right. They show real people, their stories, and how Peloton has changed their lives. They focus on the outcome, a healthier, happier, more connected you.
This is really fascinating. It's making me realize that the best sales aren't just transactions, they're about something deeper, something emotional.
For sure. And the guide has another powerful example of how emotion can drive sales. TOMS, shoes.
Oh yeah, I love their shoes. They're so comfy.
They are. But what's even cooler is their business model. They built this whole movement around the idea of giving back. For every pair of shoes you buy, they donate a pair to a child in need. The founder got the idea when he was traveling in Argentina and saw how not having shoes affected kids' lives.
That's amazing. I didn't know that was the story behind their brand.
It's such a powerful example of how sharing your personal experience, being vulnerable, and connecting on a human level can create something big. People weren't just buying shoes, they were joining a cause.
Like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. And that leads us to another point in the guide. The power of being vulnerable.
Okay, that seems a little counterintuitive. Why would being vulnerable be good for sales?
Because it makes you relatable. People are drawn to authenticity, to people who are willing to show their human side. The guide uses the example of J.K. Rowling and how open she was about her struggles before she became successful, and how that really resonated with people.
Yeah, I can see how that would be inspiring. It makes you realize that everyone goes through tough times, even people who achieve incredible things.
For sure. People want to connect with real people, not some perfect image. It builds trust and makes what you're saying so much more powerful.
This is making me think about how I can be more genuine in my own interactions. I really like this idea of being vulnerable and sharing your story.
It's powerful, for sure. And the guide stresses that thinking outside the box is super important, especially when there's so much competition.
So it's not just about following a script, it's about being creative and finding new ways to connect with people.
Exactly. It's about bringing your own personality and ideas to the table and finding solutions that really speak to your audience.
I'm starting to see sales in a whole new way. It's not about being pushy, it's about building relationships, understanding people, and actually being helpful. This has been so insightful.
I agree. It's about creating situations where both you and the customer win, where everyone feels good about it.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our dive, I just want to go over some of the key things we've talked about. There's been so much great info.
Good idea. I think the biggest takeaway so far is that being real is super important. Building real relationships, focusing on value, and being true to yourself are essential for sales success.
And we can't forget about selling the outcome, telling stories that connect with people, and understanding that everything we do has a bit of sales in it.
Absolutely. And in our next segment, we'll dig deeper into some specific strategies and tools you can use to put all this into practice.
I can't wait. We'll be back soon with more from 10 sales secrets every entrepreneur must know.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the world of sales.
Yeah, I'm excited to keep going with these secrets. Me too. So last time we talked a lot about being genuine, building relationships, and selling the outcome. But the guide also talks about some actual strategies for putting these ideas into practice. One thing that stood out to me was how it emphasizes training your team to sell. It says that everyone in a company, not just the sales team, can help bring in money.
That's so important. The guide talks about creating a sales culture where everyone gets how important customer relationships are and feels like they can contribute. Like, even someone in customer service can make a big difference in a sale just by giving awesome support and building rapport.
So it's like everyone's an ambassador for the brand.
Exactly. It's about creating this sense of ownership where everyone feels responsible for the company's success. The guide even suggests giving sales training to people who aren't in sales roles to help them spot opportunities, handle customers well, and even upsell or cross-sell products.
That's interesting. I can see how investing in training for everyone could really pay off.
Totally. Yeah. It's about having everyone in the company focused on the customer. The guide also talks about using technology to make the sales process smoother and improve those customer interactions. It specifically mentions customer relationship management, or CRM software, as a tool for keeping track of customer data, managing interactions, and automating tasks.
I've heard of CRM software, but I don't really know how it works. Can you explain it?
Sure. Imagine having this central database with all your customer info, their contact details, what they've bought, their interactions with your company, even their preferences and what their pain points are. CRM software lets you see all this info instantly, which is super helpful for personalizing your sales approach and giving a more tailored customer experience.
So it's like a super organized filing cabinet for all your customer relationships.
Exactly. And with the CRM platforms we have now, you can do way more than just store data. You can automate follow-up emails, track how sales are progressing, generate reports, and even work with your team on managing those customer interactions.
That sounds incredibly useful, especially for businesses with lots of customers.
It really is. And the guide mentions some specific CRM platforms like Selldone that have tons of features and integrations to fit different business needs. But beyond tech, the guide also stresses using those relationships and brands you already have to open new doors. It talks about the power of strategic partnerships and collaborations.
I'm all about collaboration. How can businesses use partnerships to boost sales?
Oh, there's so many ways. You can partner with businesses that complement what you do to cross-promote products or services. Like a yoga studio could partner with a health food store to offer discounts together or host events. You could also work with influencers or industry leaders to reach their audience and build credibility. The key is to find partners whose values and target audience match yours.
Makes sense. It's about finding those win-win situations.
For sure. And speaking of credibility, the guide also talks about how important testimonials and social proof are.
Oh yeah, those are gold. There's nothing better than a great review from a happy customer.
Totally. Testimonials give you social proof and build trust. They show potential customers that others have had good experiences, which makes them more likely to try it out. The guide recommends actively asking happy customers for testimonials and putting them front and center on your website, your marketing stuff, and social media.
It's like word-of-mouth marketing, but on a bigger scale.
Exactly. It's using those real recommendations to build trust and get new customers. Okay, now let's talk about the actual sales process. The guide has this 3-step process that's simple but really effective.
Okay, I'm listening.
First step is figuring out who your potential clients are. Seems obvious, but a lot of businesses waste time and energy going after the wrong leads.
So it's about being strategic and targeting the right people.
Exactly. The guide even gives you a template for creating what they call an ideal customer profile. This means figuring out your perfect customer's demographics, what their pain points are, their goals, and how they usually buy things. By understanding who your ideal customer is, you can tailor your message, pick the right marketing channels, and not waste time on leads that probably won't turn into sales.
That's super helpful. I can see how that would make the whole sales process way smoother.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once you know who you're targeting, the next step is building relationships. This goes back to what we were saying about being genuine and making real connections. People buy from those they like and trust.
Right. It's not about pushing the product. It's about connecting with them and understanding their needs.
Exactly. This could mean interacting with potential clients on social media, going to industry events, or just having a conversation to get to know them and their goals. The key is to show real interest and build trust before you even bring up your product or service.
So it's about coming from a place of wanting to help.
Precisely.
Right.
And finally, the third step is presenting your solution.
Okay, this is where the actual selling happens, right?
Yeah, but it's super important to present your solution as the answer to their specific needs, not just some generic pitch.
So you're tailoring your message to each person based on what you've learned about them?
Exactly. It's about showing the value and benefits that matter most to them. Instead of just listing features, show them how your product or service can help them reach their goals, fix their problems, or make their lives easier.
It's all about the customer and giving them value. I'm definitely seeing a theme here.
You got it. It's about moving away from just thinking about transactions and focusing on building those relationships. The guide says this is especially crucial now with so much competition out there.
So how do you stand out when everyone's vying for attention?
That's where being creative and innovative comes in. The guide wants businesses to think outside the box and find cool ways to grab attention and get customers involved. This could mean coming up with a really creative marketing campaign, offering a unique feature, or providing amazing customer service that goes above and beyond.
So it's not enough to just have a great product. You have to make it stand out and create a memorable experience.
You nailed it. The guide even mentions platforms like Selldone again, saying how they let businesses customize their online stores, create those interactive sales funnels, and offer personalized recommendations to make customers more engaged. It's all about using technology to make the whole sales process more dynamic and interactive.
Wow, I'm really seeing how powerful it is to combine these ideas of being genuine, building relationships, and being strategic with creative approaches and new tools.
For sure. And as we head into the last part of our deep dive, we'll explore even more specific examples and practical tips from the guide to help you use these insights in your own sales efforts.
I can't wait. We'll be back soon with more from 10 Sales Secrets Every Entrepreneur Must Know.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the secrets of sales.
We've covered a lot, but there's still some really good stuff in this guide. I know. One of the things that stuck with me from the last parts is that good selling isn't just about closing the deal. It's more about making genuine connections, getting your customers, and giving them real value.
Totally. And this last part of the guide really ties it all together by saying how important it is to actually believe in what you're selling.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think I'd be very convincing if I didn't believe in what I was offering.
It's about being true to yourself and finding those products and services that you're passionate about. That makes a huge difference. Your enthusiasm is contagious and people can feel that authenticity.
It's like that saying, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Exactly. When you believe in your mission, it shows. And that can be really powerful.
So let's say I found something I'm really passionate about. How do I show that to potential customers? How do I create that emotional connection we talked about before?
That's a great question. And the guy gives some cool examples. We already talked about Tom S. Shoes and how the founder's story created a movement. But it also talks about J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter author? What does she have to do with sales?
Well, before she became super successful, she went through a lot of rejection and tough times. She was a single mom on welfare, dealing with depression, while she was writing the first Harry Potter book.
Wow! I had no idea.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And what's interesting is that she didn't hide those struggles. She was open and honest about her journey.
And that connected with people.
Oh, yeah. Big time. It made her seem real, human, and even more inspiring. It showed that you can succeed even when things are tough.
That's a powerful example of how being vulnerable can really connect with people. It's not about pretending to be perfect, it's about being real.
Exactly. And that's something we can all do, whether we're selling something, pitching an idea, or just trying to connect with someone on a deeper level.
I love that. It's about bringing your whole self to the table.
Absolutely. And the guide encourages us to be authentic, to be creative, to think outside the box, and find ways to make our message stand out.
So it's not just about following some script. It's about finding your own voice and your own way of doing things.
You got it. It's about trying new things, experimenting, and always learning and growing.
This deep dive has totally changed how I think about sales. It's not about being pushy. It's about connecting with people, getting what they need, and offering solutions that make a difference.
That's the heart of it. And remember, even though this guide is for entrepreneurs, what it says applies to everyone.
Yeah, because like the guide says, everything is sales in some way. We're always persuading, influencing, and trying to connect with others.
Exactly. And if we can do that with more honesty, empathy, and creativity, imagine the positive impact we could have.
I know, right? This has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking us through this deep dive.
My pleasure. And to everyone listening, keep exploring these ideas. What are you selling right now? How can you use this stuff in your own life?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences and questions with us on social media or through our website.
And remember, the most important sale you'll ever make is to yourself. Believing in yourself and your potential is the foundation for everything else.
That's a great way to put it. That's the perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this awesome journey into the world of sales. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep believing in yourself.